Welcome back to High Stakes. Elevate your betting game by hitting that subscribe button and ensure you never miss out on our daily content. Want exclusive access to premium betting picks? Join our Patreon. Links are waiting for you in the comment section below. Stay ahead of the game with High Stakes. In this video, I'll be sharing my expert betting picks and analysis for the upcoming matchups: Detroit Pistons versus Charlotte Hornets, Minnesota Timberwolves versus Toronto Raptors, and Utah Jazz versus San Antonio Spurs. After a disappointing 122-112 loss to the Chicago Bulls, the Detroit Pistons 3-11 look to rebound on the road against the Charlotte Hornets 3-10. Detroit struggled to close a 36-25 deficit after the first quarter, despite a strong individual performance from Cade Cunningham, who registered 26 points and 10 rebounds. Jalen Duren was a dominant force on the glass, pulling down 22 rebounds to go with his 15 points, and Malik Beasley added 21 points off the bench. However, the Pistons couldn't overcome their defensive lapses, particularly in the second half, where they failed to keep pace with the Bulls' offense. Despite their record, Detroit has shown flashes of strong play this season, ranking 22nd in points per game, 109.8, and shooting 45.9% from the field, but their defense has been a problem. The Pistons allow 110.9 points per game, and opponents are shooting 45.2% from the field, including 36.9% from beyond the arc. Detroit will be missing Ausar Thompson and Bobby Klintman, which could further complicate their defensive efforts. On the other hand, the Hornets are also coming off a heartbreaking loss, falling 116-115 to the Brooklyn Nets on Tuesday. Charlotte had multiple leads throughout the game, including in the fourth quarter, but couldn't close it out. Brandon Miller led the way with 29 points, while Miles Bridges added 21 and Grant Williams chipped in with 16 points. LaMelo Ball, despite playing through some struggles, contributed 12 points and 8 assists. The Hornets have also had issues on both ends of the floor this season, averaging just 109.1 points per game, 24th, and shooting a dismal 43.1% from the field. Their defense has been even more problematic, allowing 114.1 points per game, with opponents shooting 47.6% from the field and 35.4% from three-point range. If Charlotte is to snap their losing streak, they'll need to shore up their defense and get more consistency from their offense. Betting breakdown. In a game that's essentially a pick'em, Detroit seems to have the edge. The Pistons' offense has been more consistent than Charlotte's, and the Hornets' defense continues to be a glaring weakness. Detroit has a respectable 9-6-1 record against the spread this season, including 7-3-1 as an underdog. Their defense, while not elite, has held up better than Charlotte's, and the absence of Thompson and Klintman might not be as detrimental against a team like the Hornets, who have struggled to put games away. When it comes to the total, the under is an attractive play. Both teams have been among the league's best under teams so far, with Detroit hitting the under in 11 of 16 games, best in the league, and Charlotte following closely behind at 9-5. With both teams ranking in the bottom half of the league in scoring and playing at a slow pace, Detroit at 100.6 possessions per game, 19th, and Charlotte at 100.9, 14th. This game is likely to feature a lot of missed shots and fewer possessions, setting up for a low-scoring affair. Pick. Take Detroit +1 and the under 219 points. Prediction: Detroit 108, Charlotte 104. Minnesota Timberwolves versus Toronto Raptors. The Minnesota Timberwolves, 9-6, are riding high after a thrilling 120-117 victory over Phoenix Suns, highlighted by Julius Randle's buzzer-beating three-pointer. Randle finished with 35 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds, while Anthony Edwards added 24 points, continuing his impressive stretch of 14 straight games with 21 or more points. Edwards' ability to score efficiently, including knocking down 3 or more three-pointers in 13 of those 14 games, has been a key factor in Minnesota's strong start to the season. Randle, meanwhile, has provided an added scoring boost since joining the Wolves, averaging 21.6 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 4.4 assists across 14 games, while shooting a respectable 38.2% from beyond the arc. Minnesota's offense has been clicking, especially from deep, as they currently rank 5th in the league in three-point shooting at 38.2%. However, their defense has also been solid, giving them a balanced attack that has kept them competitive in a stacked Western Conference. On the other side, the Toronto Raptors, 3-13, are coming off a much-needed 130-119 win over the Indiana Pacers, snapping a 7-game losing streak. R.J. Barrett had a monster game, scoring a season-high 39 points, while Jacob Poeltl added 30 points and 15 rebounds. Barrett has been a bright spot for Toronto, posting his fourth 30-point game of the season and averaging 22-plus points over the last 3 games. However, despite some individual successes, the Raptors have struggled overall, with one of the worst records in the league, and are still trying to find consistency. Toronto's shooting has been a concern, ranking 22nd in the NBA in three-point percentage at just 34%. They also allow 119 points per game and have given up 129 points per game over their last 3 contests. While their defense has been decent against the three, their overall defensive struggles could be a problem against a high-scoring team like Minnesota, who can light it up from deep. Betting breakdown. The Timberwolves come into this game as the stronger team on both ends of the floor. Toronto may have found some momentum with their recent win, but they still have major defensive and shooting issues to address. The Timberwolves have been efficient offensively and have the edge in three-point shooting, which will be crucial against a Raptors team that is not generating enough offense to keep up. With both teams playing at a middle-of-the-pack pace, I expect a slower, more methodical game, which leans toward the under. Minnesota has been a good defensive team, and Toronto's offense has struggled to score consistently, especially from beyond the arc. The total has gone under in 6 of the last 9 matchups between these two teams, and I expect that trend to continue tonight. Pick. Take Minnesota Timberwolves ATS. They have the talent and form to cover the spread, especially with Toronto's defensive issues. Prediction. Timberwolves 112, Raptors 106, under 223 points. Utah Jazz versus San Antonio Spurs. Thursday night's matchup between the Utah Jazz, 6-9, and San Antonio Spurs, 7-8, presents another intriguing battle between two teams from the Western Conference struggling to find consistent form. The two teams have already met twice this season, with each claiming a win. San Antonio taking the first contest 106-88, and Utah edging out a win in a tight rematch earlier this month. With both teams hovering around the bottom of the standings and several key injury concerns, most notably with San Antonio's star duo of Victor Wembanyama and Devin Vassell, this game could be another close one. San Antonio struggles. The Spurs have not been great against the spread, posting a 7-8 record so far this season, including an abysmal 0-7 when facing opponents on equal rest. Despite the presence of Wembanyama, who's one of the most highly anticipated young stars in the league, the Spurs have faced difficulties offensively, ranking 25th in the league in points per game, 109.1. While they do boast one of the league's stronger defenses, their offensive struggles could be exacerbated if Wembanyama and Vassell are both unavailable, leaving San Antonio vulnerable in this matchup. Utah's road woes and offensive troubles. The Jazz, meanwhile, have also struggled to put up points, ranking 26th in the league in scoring at 108.0 points per game. Despite a solid start, Utah has struggled to consistently find its rhythm offensively. However, they fared well on the road, with a 5-3 record in away games. Like San Antonio, the Jazz's defense is their strength, but they've been inconsistent at times on the offensive end. Coming off a loss, Utah will look to bounce back and assert their dominance, especially with a chance to capitalize on a Spurs team that may be missing key pieces. Betting breakdown. This game brings together 2 of the NBA's 6 worst offenses, and it's clear that points may be hard to come by. San Antonio's defense has been relatively solid, but without key offensive players, they may struggle to generate consistent scoring. Utah's struggles on offense also point to a low-scoring affair. With both teams ranking near the bottom in scoring and both dealing with injury concerns, this matchup has all the signs of a low-scoring defensive battle. On top of that, the Spurs' record of 0-7 when on equal rest as their opponent is concerning, especially against a Jazz team that is slightly more consistent on the road. Pick. Take Utah to cover the spread. Despite the offensive struggles, the Jazz have been the more consistent team and have the advantage if Wembanyama and Vassell are limited or absent. Prediction: Utah Jazz 104, San Antonio Spurs 98, under 221 points.